To celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Bit Squad, we are going to be giving away $1,000 in Bitcoin for the months of March and April, along with 2 Nano Ledger S's. An extra $100 prize will be available for those who join the Telegram group. Like and comment on every video in March and April for the maximum number of entries. You must be a subscriber to win.
Welcome back to your newest favorite podcast, Beards and Bitcoins, where bitboy and jchains get together each week to talk about crypto and things happening in the community. They will bring you some special guests and giveaways, so make sure you're subscribed. For all show-related news, you can find the guys on various social media outlets. Everything is listed on the official show Twitter account, @BeardsBitcoins. Now, without further introduction, 2 dudes that have beards, like Bitcoins, and want to talk to you about both, bitboy and jchains.
Hey everybody, welcome to your favorite podcast, episode 28 of Beards and Bitcoins. Today we got a special interview we'll talk to you about in just a second, but I am your co-host, Bitboy. That's your other co-host, jchains. What is going on?
What is up? What is up? All of our bearded and non-bearded fans, how you doing? You don't have to be fans. You can just be listeners. Yeah, listeners is better. Sorry about that.
No, y'all are our fans. Our family, our family. Anyways, we digress. I think we need to have our intro. If you listen to it, it says we would love to talk to you about beards and Bitcoins. We need to have a special beards episode where we only talk about beards. What do you think?
We could do that. I think that'd be a good idea. And what we could do, and I know that there's a society here in Austin, but there's like the Beard Society. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen like those things where like you get like the crazy mustache guys, like they do their beard designs.
Yeah, well,
let's get some of those guys on.
I think I talked about this on one of the very first episodes, but there's a crazy story about a French drug dealer, right, who was one of the first people who was accepting payment, I think, from Silk Road for his drugs. So he was selling drugs and he was getting Bitcoin. He was like an infamous dark web drug dealer. He also was one of the world's, foremost beard experts, that's not the right way to say it. He was in the world beard competition. So he would travel all across the world entering into those beard competitions. And so he went to a contest in the United States. And when he landed, he got arrested because the government was onto him and knew what he was doing and they actually confiscated his laptop and they got into his wallet and took all of his crypto.
Dang.
How crazy
they didn't get his beard. They couldn't get his beard.
They couldn't get his beard. He still had his beard. I actually had a beard trim this week. Don't know if you can tell.
Ooh, dude, I got to do that.
You're looking uneven.
It's getting crazy.
You're looking asymmetrical.
Yeah, I know. I could even, whatever. But you know what? I wonder about those, and I've never seen one of those competitions, but do you think the judges have beards? And do you think they've been in like this, like I've been a beard competitor my whole life, or there's just like some Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street that's going to judge my beard, and he might not know anything about a beard?
Dude, there's only one way for us to find out.
We're joining.
Live stream podcast from World Beard Competition.
Check.
We're going to do it. I can go ahead and tell you for sure. That way we can really cement the beards in here. Well, we got a really exciting episode for you guys today. Sorry, we went down the rabbit trail there. But we've got Ian Balina on the show, so he's going to be on in a few minutes. We already recorded the interview, so we'll be showing it in a couple minutes, like I said, and it was very interesting. You're going to want to listen to it. He gave a lot of insight, some nuggets for, some stuff in the future that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to. And,
Not financial advice,
Not financial advice. But, we asked him about, the ICOs, losing money, scams. We asked him about the whole 9 yards, so you guys make sure you stay tuned for that. But before we do that, bring him on. We got to do our Monarch Twitter shout out, Monarch Crypto Twitter shout out. Brought to you by monarchtoken.io. Big partnership with Celsius has been the news recently. They've got a new version of the app, and it is slick. They got a really cool commercial. So you guys make sure you check them out. I believe ICO is still going on with them. So I know ICO is kind of a dirty word, but with Monarch, you feel like everything with Monarch is, above board and above water. So
absolutely. Check it out. monarchtoken.io.
That's it.
So who are you going to shout out this week, my man?
I'm going to shout out a friend of mine that you guys may have seen or may not have. He only has 1,100 followers, which is a decent amount, but not that well known in the crypto space compared to, people who have a lot more followers, but he's one of the greatest meme experts on all of crypto Twitter. This is the Fat Bitcoin at the Fat Bitcoin. Nice. I want to shout him out to extend to Olive Branch. We've been arguing all day about whether Bitcoin or Tron is better. And so that's a little of an exaggeration, but I made this case earlier today on Twitter about, I don't think it's good to be a Bitcoin maximalist. And so he's calling me a Tron maximalist. So it's been real funny, but he makes the dopest memes. You can find him on Instagram as well. I think it's the same handle. And there's some people, like, I make memes, but my memes are not nearly as good as his. Like the thinking that goes into his.
Really good at it.
What's that?
Some people are just like so good at memes.
Yeah. I want to make like the same kind of meme every time. Like, this is me and this is my bag and, something's going on. Like I'm either loving it or I'm hating it. Like I feel like that's every meme I want to make. Or like ICOs, this is what you were promised and this is what you got. I'm not as creative as he the stuff he comes up with is absolutely phenomenal. So
very good.
Also a Satoshi dropper. So
hashtag Satoshi droppers. Check it out. SatoshiDroppers.com. Website's up. Thank you to Crypto Stash.
Thank you, Crypto Stash.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful site. It's the best. This week, I think I'm going to shout out. I know that I'm going to shout out the Bitcoin 2019 conference. It is a peer-to-peer conference. It is going to be in San Francisco at the SVN West, June 25th, 26th. Check it out. At Bitcoin 2019 Conf, CONF, short for conference. That's where you can find them on Twitter, get some information. We're actually going to be doing a bunch of the Satoshi droppers and a bunch of other people in the space. We are going to be doing the Bit Bus, and there will be plenty more information coming out about this. But it'll be a busload of your favorite people going from LA up to San Fran. I think we do like videos, live streams.
Well, you guys come join me, jchains, and all of the other D-list Twitter celebrities for a fun ride. Hey guys, you get to meet me. It sounds a little vain, doesn't it? But really,
it's more about the experience. Go up, take a ride. Take a ride if you're in the LA area. Take a ride up to San Francisco with some like-minded people. I mean, it's guaranteed we're gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Got a couple-hour rides, so more information to come on that. So be on the lookout. But yeah, Bitcoin 2019 conference, San Fran.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. Well, let's get on to the interview. So like I said, we've got Ian Balina. You guys probably know him, from his work with ICOs and stuff like that. So without further ado, here's the interview.
Let's do it.
So guys, we are now joined by Ian Balina. You guys have probably seen his YouTube channel or maybe even his music video. Definitely somebody in the space who's been around for a long time, known last year or 2017 a lot for, his work with ICO research and stuff like that. So we're very glad to be joined by you today, Ian.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, the first question I really want to ask you is, so you got into the space in 2015 or 16?
2016.
2016.
Around October 2016.
Yeah. So 2016, like things were at the end of that year, things were starting to kind of, move in a positive direction. And, 2017, things blew up and definitely ICOs were the rage. A lot of stuff now with ICOs, people look back and see a lot of sketchy stuff and things like that. But what has changed in your mind in the crypto space since you came into crypto and where we are now?
I think so much has changed. Crypto is a space that's constantly evolving. Almost every quarter, every 2 or 3 months, something brand new happens. Like nothing, but the beauty about crypto is nothing stays constant. So right now, I would say for this year, the big trend are IEOs, initial exchange offerings, right? Because people thought ICOs were dead, but now they pop back up in this totally brand new way where exchanges are the ones doing the ICOs. And now almost every IEO is pumping, right? But I think the main change in 2018 were regulation, right? The SEC, China, Korea, all these different bodies came in and said, okay, you know what? There are too many scams happening. 8 out of 10 ICOs were scams. So people were making lots and lots of money. But after a while, when that wasn't really something that could be sustained, everybody came from the moon back to Earth and getting wrecked, losing money. So I think once that happened and the adults came in, the SEC and others came in to clean up the space, then people began getting out of crypto, right? So I think lots of has changed based on the last 1 year, based on the bear market. The bear market has basically cleaned up the space. Now there's more regulation coming in. Now you have people talking about security tokens and STOs being a much better way of raising money. But I think so much has happened in the last 1 year.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's been a crazy year on the downside for sure. But so you said that, you thought maybe 8 out of 10 ICOs were scams. Can you elaborate? Like, what is your definition of a scam? Do you think that, there were any that you were involved with or that wanted you involved that turned out to be scams and things like that?
Yeah, so this was a study done by the Status Group, and they found out that 81% of ICOs were scams, meaning that either they raised money and didn't do anything and were just pure fraud, or they raised money not intending to do anything they promised to do in the white paper or in their roadmap, right? So that's what they defined as a scam, right? Basically, vaporware, basically, right? So I think that really got people second guessing about investing in ICOs when the bubble popped, right? Because before any ICO would pump, right? 1x, 5x, 10x. But once that stopped, people began questioning whether this was something worth investing in.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people second guessing those investments. What about you, jchains?
If you had to put
investing in ICOs back then, last year?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. If you had to guess, or at least just put an estimate on it, how many ICOs do you think you reviewed in that super crazy period of
reviewed? Oh man, I think privately, internally with my team, because I would say the first 1 year or so I was doing everything myself, right? But it came to a point where I had to scale up, right? I had to basically hire a team to help me do more research on these projects, right? So now I would say last year we're going through maybe 100 ICOs a month.
Oh wow!
Deeply, right? Because we try to look at every ICO, but we kind of have it down to a system where we can quickly filter out most bad ICOs, right? Just based on our token metrics. So it's a pretty well-oiled machine, right? But typically we're doing deep research on about, I would say, 5 projects a week. This was last year. Right? Nowadays, we kind of slowed down because we're trying to adapt our system to more equity investing, right? For security tokens, STOs, and just venture capital. But yeah, I would say last year, we basically get 1,000 ICOs. Out of that, we filtered that down to maybe 100 worth actually doing further homework on. And then from there, maybe down to 10.
So out of all of those, what was like a project that you thought seemed legit, seemed like it was going to do really well, and then maybe it didn't?
Wow. So I invested in Air Token, which ended up being a horrible investment. The SEC ended up calling that a scam basically, and they had to refund the money to investors, right? I was part of Air Token. I was part of Endahash. I was part of Propi. I was part of, I've taken my fair share of L.
Yeah.
But the beauty in it is, right? It's kind of like baseball, right? As long as your batting average is pretty good and you win the game, right?
Yeah. It's
so
the only
make up all the losses.
Baseball is the only thing it seems like in the world where you can fail at your job 2 out of 3 times and be phenomenal at it, right?
What about a weatherman? A weatherman can be wrong all the time. He still gets to keep his job.
Oh my gosh, that's a.
And I think people kind of lose perspective, right? Because in regular angel investing or venture capital, the idea isn't to get every investment right? The average VC makes 10 investments, expecting 9 out of 10 to be losses. But they expect that one big home run to be the next Uber, the next Airbnb, the next Google, next Amazon, right? But I think people in crypto kind of forget that, right? They expect, because we kind of got spoiled last year or in 2017, where everything was a big home run.
Yeah, and it really got everybody's expectations like really out of whack. I think the difference is though, is like, a lot of those that people were investing in, like you said, like turned out to be just straight up scams, and then there's no recouping any of your money. and there's absolutely no hope, for you to get returns back. And with investing in other types of businesses and stuff, like they may fail, but you don't expect them to like be a scam. Does that make sense?
Yeah. In crypto, they're more in your face. They're more savage with it.
Yeah.
Right. There are some ICOs that after raising funds the next day will just shut down their website. Right. So in crypto, it is more rampant.
So
it's still the wild west. I saw something on it was like the crypto subreddit today. It was like does all the markets and everything, and then once it's like, I mean, if you think you're late to the party, man, we're not late to the party. So like there's still again, we're in the Wild West. There's a lot to be had. Like we're fighting about what kind of cake we're gonna have at our party. That's how early it still is. With like some of the things. It was a really funny thing, but I mean, like you said, like it's the Wild West. There's so many things that have gone bad. Now's the time to correct them, and then let's push everything forward in the right way. Would you agree?
Totally agree. Yeah, because I went to Token Summit in 2017, spring of 2017, my first conference. I met one of the first crypto millionaires I ever met. This guy was running a crypto fund based out of LA, and I asked him, like, how did you make your money? He told me he made his money from the Ethereum ICO. It was part of the ICO, and I was like, wow, like I feel like I'm late to this, right? Then he told me a story. He said when he got in the Ethereum ICO, he thought he was late to the party as well, right? And he told me that in crypto, you're never late to the party. It's still early. It's still very, very early. Even to this day, when somebody just joins the space, they're still very early to the party.
Yeah, during a bull run, you don't feel that way. Like towards the end of 2017, like you definitely felt like if you had not invested yet, that you were late. But the bear market has like really reversed all that. So,
yeah. But I mean, people say they want to buy Bitcoin or crypto at a much better price, but when the price pulls back, nobody wants to touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like the people I'm going to wait till it gets to 4, and then it gets to 4. It's like, you know what? I'll wait till it's 3. And then they got down there like, 1,500. I'll get in then.
Well, it's because it seems unbelievable. Like when Bitcoin was at 8,000, even when people were saying it was going to go down to 3,000, like that seemed absolutely unbelievable. Like there's no way, like, especially if you go back to when it was 12, 13, 14,000, there's no way it could drop that low. And people were like, man, I would give my right arm to buy Bitcoin at $3,000. But what happens is once it drops down that low, you get super scared because now that number is believable. And now you say, okay, if that was unbelievable, how much further can it drop? And then, people don't invest. So, and I think that a lot of the people that, want to invest at those smaller numbers, like I just don't know if they really, maybe they're just waiting to get the money to actually do the investing. So I don't know. Not everybody has the disposable income to do it. But I think what's that? Was that jchains?
Especially when you're 90% down.
Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of the people that, sold at the bottom, and bought at the top, I think those people will kind of do the same thing on the next bull run. I think, the price has been to the point where people are scared to invest in it because they lost so much money. But once it gets back up to all-time highs, I feel like those same people that took L's in late 2017, like I feel like they'll take them again. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have to be patient, right? They have to have perspective. I understand it's very painful to buy the top in December 2017, January 2018. But leaving now and saying you'll come back later, right? That means you're going to make the same mistake again. Because come back, it's going to be the top, right? So you'll be buying somebody else's bags, right? So that I think the best idea now is really to progress and get as much value out of crypto and blockchain right now in the bear market, and basically getting ready for the next pump, the next bubble, the next all-time high, right? Because by then, right, everything you're doing now will put you in a better placement for next time.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to when that happens. What's your prediction on when do you think the market will turn around? Do you believe we've already bottomed? I know these are like kind of pie in the sky projections, but
yeah, I mean, I think right now we're definitely, I wouldn't call it bottom, but I think we're close there. I think right now we're basically going sideways, right? So I mean, I think the market is bullish now, right, based on the last 1 month, right? So I think if there's ever a time to get back in, it will be now. right? Definitely not financial advice, just my opinion, right? But I think the market is definitely much, much better, right?
Yeah. Speaking of financial advice, being such a renowned person in crypto as you are, pretty much anybody who's in the space knows who you are, unless it's their first week. And we go back to 2017 when things were popping off and people were, buying things left and right and making money, and then all of a sudden it crashed. What do you say to people that, and I'm sure you've had, people reach out to you and say this, like they blame you. They say, oh, you said this was a good investment and I got wrecked on it. I lost my life savings, whatever it may be. Kind of how have you handled that? Because, I definitely believe there are some people that probably have thought that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been tough, right? It's kind of like being the quarterback, right? When you win, people say, hey, you won because of you. When you lose, they blame you, right? So I understand when people lose money, they look for somebody to blame, right? And it's something I think just kind of comes with the territory, right? Just kind of having a large platform, right? Because I've seen it all. I've seen people blaming me for products I never even talked about, right? So, I mean, I've seen it all, right? But at the end of the day, I think for you to really mature as an investor, you have to take ownership in your investment, right? Like nobody puts a gun to your head and says, buy this project, right? I think for me, the reason I've had some success in this is because every project I invested in, I always did my own research. I never blindly invested in anything, right? Maybe when I first got into crypto, I was blindly investing, but I realized that wasn't really a winning strategy. So I always did my own research, and I always made sure when I invested in something, it was because of my own research and my own, I basically made myself accountable, right? I mean, to a point where I basically created token metrics, right? Just to make sure that I had confidence in what I was investing in. So I think when people just blindly invest, which is definitely a big concern, that's why I took down my ICO spreadsheet, basically at the top in January 2018, because the amount of people who were blindly investing scared me, right? And I didn't really want to move the markets that much. So I took it down, right? I mean, probably was the best time for me to really kind of get out of crypto as well, right? Because that was basically the peak of the peak, right? But I think that the mania back then was just too much to handle, right?
Absolutely.
And I think the people in crypto kind of have to, I would say, just take ownership and do your own research. But I mean, I definitely don't understand some people who want to blame somebody, right, for a bad investment. And I think it does come with the territory of being a public figure.
Oh yeah, no doubt. When you are doing your own research, I mean, obviously, because you said you've got your metrics and stuff that you look at, what would you say are the two most important things when you're reviewing a team or a project or reading a white paper? Like what are the two most things that like you're looking for?
So the main thing now is the product, right? How far along is the product, right? So for token metrics, the first thing you look for is the prototype, right? Is there something tangible? But nowadays, since the space is getting more and more mature, you look for, if it's a protocol, something that's launching a testnet or a mainnet very, very shortly before or after the ICO, right? Because if the product is going to take 1 year to launch, then it's not something we want to touch, even if it's the best team in the world. But we want something tangible, something that can be tested, right? Then the next thing is having the all-star team, right? Having a great team of developers, a CEO, business guys, a team that put together is a team we think can take us across the finish line.
Yeah. One that's got like actual like pictures and LinkedIn's and stuff that you can trace, right? When you're doing your research, you want to make sure that you're not looking for a bogus profile of.
Yeah, I mean, so for us, our definition, we define an all-star team as people who've worked 2 years or more at a Fortune 500 company, or 6 months or more at a top 25 blockchain project based on market cap, right? So for example, a Bitcoin core developer, a Ethereum core developer is somebody to us that has really proven himself, right? Or if somebody came from Google or Amazon, right? To us, we really have that experience, right? And it's definitely subjective, right? There isn't really a perfect way, but for us, this has worked very quickly and very efficiently for us, because if you're looking at 1,000 companies, you want to back the random guys from nowhere you never heard of, guys who left Google, Amazon, and have this Bitcoin core developer building this next project, right? I mean, sure, we may miss some amazing projects, but the idea is to really mitigate risk.
Yeah,
that's smart.
That's definitely a good idea to mitigate risk. So, okay, well, when it comes to the current landscape and the future landscape of crypto and ICOs. Basically now, IEOs, right? It's not old McDonald, Farmer McDonald, whatever that song is, EIEIO. It's IEO, initial exchange offerings. Those are kind of the new thing, right? You mentioned it when, we introduced you. And, how do you see that shaping the crypto landscape going forward? Do you think this is going to be kind of like the new way that companies are all going to try to run money? Do you feel like maybe exchanges are going to take advantage of that and have too much power, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I am getting scared with how much power exchanges are getting now. But since it's making the entire market more bullish, I'm not really going to be so concerned short term, but long term maybe, right? Because now we're getting back towards the old way of doing things on Wall Street, right? IPOs, where VCs, venture capitalists, and private equity funds have early access. Basically, just the wealthy people have private access to investing into companies, and then retail investors buying on exchanges. And I feel the same thing is happening with IEOs, right? Because most of these IEOs have had private rounds. Now, some of them have been raising for almost a year or longer. And then they basically go for the ICO, for the public sale via the exchanges. I think it is better for the community now because exchanges now are the ones being held accountable for doing the research and the due diligence initially, right? And investors also know that the tokens will be trading on that exchange within a week or so.
It's a good point.
Right?
Great
so that's
point.
the biggest question for the space, right? Especially in a bear market, when exchange, right? So if people know, okay, if I buy it now, this is going to be trading within a week, right? So now it's more positive for the market. People have more confidence to invest, but it makes people more traders than investors, right? People are more trading the pump, trading short term, right? So I think I'm kind of conflicted, but since it's making everything else green, right? A rising tide lifts all boats, right? I think right now it's good, but long term there has to be a better way.
Yeah, I feel like Binance has way too much power in this. I think
the launch pad is. I mean, it's
and
guaranteed.
It's buggy, right? Every IEO has been buggy, right? But I think just the power of Binance, now even other exchanges, right? Bittrex, Huobi, OKX, Probit, KeyCoin, all the exchange tokens have been pumping. Like almost all of them have done a 1x in the last few weeks or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's good, for the token price. And I've said for a long time, that when it comes to utility tokens, the exchange tokens are as useful as anything else. They actually have use. They're, getting their customers to buy their token in order to, get discounts and stuff like that. And that's a good incentive model to, get those going. So, So
speaking of Binance, though, I do want to give you guys, I guess, maybe a nugget. Definitely not financial advice, but I'm very bullish on Binance for April. Let's just say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are some rumors that there's going to be some big news. But right now, just rumors, but I'm very bullish on Binance. I mean, I don't own any Binance right now, but I'm exploring possibly getting Binance tokens for April as a short-term trade, as a swing trade.
Well,
not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. Do your research.
Can you guys hold on just a second? Honey, can you cash in the 401k, please?
Right.
We're gonna cash in the 401k. We're gonna do it. I'm just kidding. I don't even have a 401k. But yeah, I mean, Binance Coin is definitely one that has been pumping out of control, and I own some, and then I sold it, and I wish I owned more. But we've all had our coins take turns with pumps. I'm big on Tron and BTT. They both pumped. I sold the top of both those recently, which was pretty good. But when it comes to
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ian.
So Binance is also launching their DEX and chain end of April. It's a target based on what Ted Lin said at Token 2049 conference in Hong Kong, right? So I mean, there's I guess the big newsworthy event happening end of April, but rumors are there's also a secondary event that can be even bigger.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
That's exciting.
They're gonna come on the show. CZ's gonna come on Beards and Bitcoins, and now the price is gonna pump out the roof. So I actually remember a time, and you do too, I'm sure, when actually influencers did have power to make prices pump just by talking about a coin. So definitely it was a big. I know another YouTuber. I won't say who he is, but he said, and he didn't mean to. Like if he reviewed a project, it would pump. He's like, man, I felt like I had way too much power during that time. So hopefully we won't see that again.
I mean, yeah, that definitely happens. That definitely happens.
Yeah.
Even this last week has been happening.
Wow. Wow. It's crazy. Well, the space is so small, and it's kind of like, on crypto Twitter, everybody kind of knows each other on there. It's very rare that you find an account that is a known count, that you're like, oh, I didn't know this guy existed. Like the bear market has whittled the people down for sure. I remember, it's very interesting. Do you remember when Charlie Lee tweeted basically the top of Litecoin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the funny thing is, if you go back and look at that tweet, like you can Google it. You can just Google the text and it'll come up with the exact tweet, and go down the list of all the people that replied to that tweet. And they all said the same thing. Oh yeah, Charlie, whatever, the price is going to go up. Basically making fun of him, saying that the price could drop back down to $20, which it got in the 20s, of course, as we know. But almost all of those accounts are not on Twitter anymore, or they haven't had an active tweet since the summer at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So very interesting when you go back and do a little research on it. That's when you really see who's still, breathing and stuff like that. So we've talked a lot about, ICOs, IEOs, and, that was definitely your specialty. But now that it's been several months, a year, whatever, since, you were highlighting a ton of those, what of those projects you invested in at that time have kind of like, been kicked out of the nest and are flying on their own, if that makes sense? What projects did you invest in that you feel like are doing really well now as actual crypto projects and not ICOs?
I would say MetaHash. MetaHash is the most recent ICO investment that's now trading on exchanges, and it's fared pretty well in this bear market. It's profitable in USD, basically 1x. ICO price was 0.039 cents, and now it's trading about 6 cents. About 0.063. It was 5x in BTC, 4x in Ether last week, right? So it's been doing well, right? Outside of that, most of my other investments just are still waiting to be trading on exchanges.
Mm. They're incubating.
Yeah, but I'm still very bullish, right? My last investment, Chromaway, right? Word is they'll be launching on exchanges hopefully in Q2. Right. So with the market getting better, I'm definitely very optimistic with how that's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting. We're getting close to the end of Q1 here. A lot of things were due Q1 2019. I think go back and see who made good, who's got a delay, and let's see what happens in Q2.
Yeah, because I feel like the projects that have fared well in this market will definitely take off in a bull market, right? Like Loom, for example. Right, Loom just launched it. Right now, anybody can start staking, right? And they also have partnerships with Tron and I believe EOS and some other blockchains, right? So they're definitely making moves, right? Those guys have been building, and even now, to this day, token price wise, it's below ICO price, right? It's basically around ICO price, around 6-7 cents. But the amount of stuff they're building, right? I think this is going to take off. I mean, they're on Coinbase, right? So I think that they're on basically every exchange out there. And it's very tough for a project that had an ICO last year, right, to be trading on just about any exchange out there. Yeah. I think that's a very big vote of confidence, especially for people who made money on it last year as well, right? Because its all-time high was a 10x in 2018.
Yeah, definitely. It was hard last year for coins to make the jump to a reputable exchange. Like I always thought it was funny when the coins would be like, oh, we got listed on this exchange and you've never heard of it. And you go there and they've got like 10 coins you've never heard of, So definitely a big jump to get on something like QOB or Bancor or, Binance.
Well, I think that's where we got into a lot of problem with exchanges, those then starting to do that bot wash trading, right? Because they're like, all right, well, we want these things to pump, but we're not getting any volume. So let's just enter this wash trading that we're doing amongst ourselves with these bots. And all of a sudden people are like, holy moly, this thing's doing like this million a day. Yeah, I'll get in on it. To me, that's the definition of a scam as well, as far as the exchanges.
Oh yeah, so many exchanges have so much fake volume. Right, there was actually an article this week that came out highlighting that. Right, and most exchanges out there in crypto have fake volume.
Yeah, I actually reported on that story this week on my channel, and I got an interesting perspective on it. Like, because in my opinion, the markets are being manipulated right now, and have been because the OTC market has actually been pretty strong, and it's not recorded on exchanges. And then you got the exchanges that are kind of doing all this fake bot trading. I feel like it almost evens out, if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of my perspective on it because I know, like, I know about a lot of OTC deals personally that have happened and have been going on. And if that volume was recorded, then it would probably blow away the exchange fake volume,
Yeah,
in my
yeah. I
opinion.
mean,
So,
I think the OTC market is definitely has been booming the last 1 year, especially in the bear market, right? Especially when funds began trading OTC, the ICO investments, right? Especially projects like RSK and RIP token, right? Where so many funds, just about every fund was trading that OTC, right? So that market has definitely gotten bigger.
yeah. And it's the wild, wild west over there on the OTC market. It's crazy out there for sure. So, well, what about the institutional stuff that's going on right now? And that's just kind of like institutional is the buzzword we use to mean the futures contracts, the ETF backed, all of that going on. We just had CBOE talk about how they were going to stop using or stop doing futures contracts. A lot of people think that that's an indication that eventually they're going to start doing what BACT is going to do with the Bitcoin settled futures contracts and stuff like that. What do you feel like the status is kind of that area in general? Do you think we got a long ways to go before that stuff gets strained out? Obviously, BACT has been delayed several
Yeah,
times.
yeah. I mean, I think we definitely have a long way to go. I mean, not long, but I had a chance to meeting with the director of BACT in Hong Kong, and he mentioned that they basically withdrew their application for the ETF for the SEC because they didn't want to get rejected, right? And they wanted to make sure everything was kind of the I's were dotted and crossed all the T's, and they wanted to make sure everything was properly reviewed, right? So they're taking a very cautious and slow and methodical approach. So I don't think it's something that's going to happen overnight or any time in the next month or two. I think it's something that's probably more later this year, right? Plus, the SEC and the government like to take its time going through something.
Yeah, especially
right?
add in the
So,
government shutdown we have.
yeah.
Bureaucrats.
So I don't think speed is in their vocab.
No. Well, what?
No, I mean go to the post office or go to the DMV. Nobody that works for the government moves at any kind of good pace.
Now, I am bullish that I think eventually an ETF will get passed, and I think when that happens, it's going to be amazing for the entire state. But I think what's really going to turn the market around is now going to be different events, right? Like Facebook is launching their own cryptocurrency, which is supposed to come out around June or so, right?
Oh, wow.
Basically, right?
What do you think about it?
I love it. I mean, I know people in the crypto space don't like it because it's not really it's centralized. It's Facebook. I mean, that's true, right? I mean, from the ethos of watching and all that. But at the end of the day, for me personally, I'm an investor, right? And I think it's great marketing and it's a great way to evangelize people, right? To have them join the space. Because let's say you're against privacy, right? Sorry. Let's say you're for privacy, right? And you see Facebook launch its own cryptocurrency. Let's say you try it out. You say, okay, you know what? Is there a private cryptocurrency I can use? Right. So I feel like Facebook is going to be the catalyst to onboard brand new people into the space. So I think that's definitely good for the space. Whether or not you like Facebook is something totally different, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like Facebook is going to be kind of like what Coinbase did. Right? Most people joined crypto through Coinbase. Mm-hmm. Because Coinbase was very simple to use, easy to use. But now most people trade on Binance or other exchanges, right? Because once you join the space, it's okay, you know what? Maybe I was too late joining the Bitcoin train. Let me find the next Bitcoin.
Right.
Then you start trying to find altcoins, right? Then you check on Binance, you check on KuCoin, other exchanges. So I feel like Facebook will have that same effect. People will start using crypto on WhatsApp or Instagram or Messenger. Then it's okay, you know what? Is there a more private cryptocurrency I can use? Then maybe they check for Zcash or Monero or what have you, or the Bitcoin, right? So I think that's a big one for us just based off of that.
Yeah, I've said for a long time, that was one of my big predictions for this year was that we would have one of the top 5 companies officially jump into crypto. I can't, what do they call it? There's like an acronym they use for the top 5 companies in the world, but, Amazon also would be, they're getting involved kind of in an official, unofficial way with their, Amazon Web Services blockchain environment they're going to come out with. But, Facebook is
Samsung with the blockchain wallet. They're kind of
not a top 5 company, but yeah, close.
I thought they were.
No, Samsung's not top 5. They're
Samsung is like top 20.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think they're about top 20. Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple. I believe, and Facebook. Yeah. So, so I've said for a long time, I feel like Facebook is the most hated company in crypto, but it's going to be the most important for the catalyst to move the space forward. Yeah. By Facebook getting involved, it legitimizes cryptocurrency. And, it's going to be a while before people realize the difference between these private blockchain cryptocurrencies and, like the one that JP Morgan coin is doing and things like that. But it might get people interested. And Facebook, here's another thing that people don't think about. The demographic of who has money to invest is all on Facebook. You got your, 50-year-old couple that, the kids are out of the house. They got a lot of disposable income, retirement, and things like that. So, of course, like cryptocurrency right now is seen kind of as for younger people and cutting edge, but that's where the money is. So once those people come introduced to the space, I think it could be huge. But I want to get your opinion on a conspiracy theory that I've been hearing the last couple days.
Exciting.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe you've heard it. There's been a couple videos going on around it, and it revolves around the institutional stuff that we've been talking about. I kind of alluded to it earlier, saying CBOE is dropping their futures contracts. A lot of people think that they're going to be introducing Bitcoin settled futures contracts, in the future, basically in the next few months. And when Bakkt comes out and has also Bitcoin settled futures of contracts available, they kind of like having 2 competitors in a space will kind of reduce the manipulation idea that the SEC has had. Like if you think about it, like Samsung and Apple is a great example. You can't just have one of those companies. You have to have both, or else you have a monopoly. So if you just have one, like Bakkt introducing Bitcoin backed futures contracts, they could kind of have a monopoly on it. So do you think that maybe there's like some coercion between those companies and maybe the SEC to do those things in order to reduce the manipulation, which is the reason why the ETFs have not been going through?
Yeah, I mean, I think competition is healthy for the space. The more the better, right? It makes both companies compete to innovate, right? And I think whatever makes the SEC happy is good for all of us, right? Right. So, and I think definitely, the SEC is concerned to help people, whether in America or outside of America, are really gaming the system in crypto, right? And if we can clean that up and with something that has more regulation and is approved by the SEC, then I think it's definitely great for all of us.
Yeah, especially since U.S. investors can't even really invest in ICOs or even in IEOs. With Binance, you weren't able to invest. Yeah. You're able to buy it on, as soon as it's tradable, you can buy it, but not on the sale.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely very tough for U.S. investors, right? With ICOs, IEOs, even SPOs, right? I mean, there are ways around it, but it's pretty tough for the average retail investor. Like, unless you have a fund, right? And most funds are done offshore, right? Unless you have an entity offshore of America that lets you invest, right? It's pretty tough for the average retail investor in the States. And I think it's just something that has to be fixed, right? From traveling the world the last 1 year on our crypto world tour, going to about 35 different countries in 12 months, I've seen how behind America is, not from a tech perspective, but just more from a adoption of cryptocurrency, right? Because most Americans everywhere, right? Most exchanges don't let you either trade there or invest via the IEO, and most ICOs ban American investors, right? Right? Unless you're basically wealthy, right? So the average retail American investor is very, very tough. And I think that's really slowed down adoption. And I think that's something the SEC has to fix, right? I think with security tokens, I mean, there definitely are some workarounds with Regulation A+ and Regulation CF. But in terms of the number of opportunities available, there'll be much less compared to people elsewhere.
Well, you have a country like China that has kind of already in a way with their WeChat app, like they've already been able to spend not cryptocurrency, but basically spend money through their app. You know, like you go to a restaurant, you can pay the company from the WeChat app. You can reimburse your friends if you say, "Oh, I'll cover it. You just pay me $20." Your friend can send you the money. So kind of over in Asia, like they've already had things that are more, lend themselves better to cryptocurrency. So over here in America, we're stuck on that US dollar. So
Yeah, I mean, WeChat is incredible. Right. One time I was in an airport lounge and the massage machine was, you had to activate it using WeChat.
wow.
Like that's how high tech it is. Right. I mean, China, they just breathe. I mean, I would say most of Asia, they just breathe WeChat.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because, basically like they have the Great Wall of China. They also have the Great Internet Wall of China around it. So, we can't access their websites. They can't access our websites. And so they take a lot of things that we did like Facebook and they basically started with, already the layout of what they want to do with it. And they were able to just add more layers to it, basically, is kind of what happened. So they're trying to make these things called like super apps. Is basically where, on your phone, instead of having to go to all these different apps, you can do anything you need to do inside of one app, and I think that would, make our lives a lot easier than having to have 48 apps on our phone or 500.
Cut down on all that clutter. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you feel like you need those apps until you switch phones. I just got a new phone. And then you're like, I really don't even need half those, so. Well, cool. Well,
I already had to get rid of that TikTok app, man.
No, man, I love TikTok. Let's not even get up. We'll save that for a different show. I'm like deep down the rabbit hole on TikTok. I would like to get back to normal people on there, but like I'm in the weirdest of stuff you've ever seen. So, people you didn't even know exist. It's like, and you said it, but I'd already thought this. TikTok is like people of Walmart, but watching them make funny music videos. I don't know if you guys know what that, or I don't know if you know what that is.
TikTok is a brand new app.
TikTok, well, it used to be called Musical.ly. And
Musical.ly, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it gets a bad rap because there was like some real sketchy stuff going on with like young girls having accounts and people sending them messages and all that stuff. So they basically rebranded as TikTok. And I don't know what they've done to kind of prevent that, but it's hilarious. There's so much funny stuff on there. I mean, there's
addicting.
People you could not imagine existing, and you're watching them make music videos. It's really bizarre. Okay. So at first, when you get the app, though, you're just like seeing normal people, and you got to really go down to the rabbit hole to find the weirdos. But anyways, so I would be, amiss if I didn't ask you about this, the music video. What's up? What's up with the music video? Are you going to make another one again? What did you think about the feedback on it and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were definitely. I've never been afraid to experiment, right? And for me, that's kind of how everything I've done in my life has been me taking a leap of faith and trying something new, right? So I think it was definitely quite the experience. The timing wasn't so good. I would say, right? I'm pretty sure if we put it out in December 2017, people would probably love it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think timing definitely matters, right? Will I make other videos? We actually have 3 or 4 videos on the shelf, just waiting for a better market to put out, right? And the entire album is done, right? My crypto album. We have about, I think, like 14, 15 tracks, produced by a 2-time Grammy nominated producer. Works with 808 Mafia. He's worked with people like the Migos, Wiz Khalifa. So it's like, so basically, by my terms, it's an all-star. Right?
Nice.
And the idea right now is that we're actually in talks, speaking with some people who are trying to produce a crypto show and trying to see if they could possibly use this as a soundtrack to the show. Right?
Nice.
There is a method to the madness.
Yeah.
Right. So the songs may not be the best for everyone, right? But I mean, from a business standpoint, they've been very valuable. Right. And I definitely do admit the timing for the first video wasn't so good. Right. And our team was kind of learned from that. Right. And yeah, we'll just kind of take it 1 month at a time and see what happens. Maybe 12 months from now, we'll just drop the album and the videos. Who knows?
You bring up a really good point when you said that, where you've got a few tracks just sitting on the shelf waiting for a better market. I mean, I feel there's a lot of projects have the same thing. They've got so much good news waiting for the market to change. Because like last year, you could drop a headline and boom, you'd blast up. Now you could say, hey, we've partnered with Apple, and you won't do anything. Like, so it's like, I think there's so many projects that are still doing that same kind of thing, just like holding on to some really good news until the sentiment kind of starts to get a little bit better. As soon as we hit that bull run, everybody like, here's some good news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. I can't wait till it happens. It may be 5 years from now, but hopefully it's soon. But Ian, well, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. It's been very educational. It's also been fun, chatting with you and things like that. Look forward to, maybe meeting you at a conference in the future so we can meet face to face instead of digitally. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And jchains, you got anything else to say?
I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Always good to talk to you. Would love to talk to you sometime again in the future when we get cooking again and get another perspective.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully one day I'll be down there in Austin. Hopefully.
There you go. Yeah, come down, get some barbecue. We'll hang out.
Have some barbecue. Maybe you go to 6th Street or somewhere.
You got it. You got it, man. I'll hit you up on Twitter. Anytime. Come down.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Have
Thanks.
a good day.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening to Beards and Bitcoins. If you like what you heard, show these guys some love and rate review on SoundCloud or iTunes. Also, remember you can always find the guys on social media. The show Twitter page is @BeardsBitcoins. You'll find direct links to BitBoy and jchains from there. Make sure you check for updates, announcements, and contests. Good luck to all who enter. See you next time.